Hi guys, today we are going to make a rose. Making roses usually takes more than a day, so let's get started. First, you'll need a floral wire and bend it like a hook. And just like a hook, this will keep our flower bud from falling. Put a floral tape around it as well and set it aside while we create the buds. You'll want to create as much bud as possible, or it depends how many flowers you want to make. The maximum size of the bud that you should make should not be more than the width of your petal pattern. I will add a link on the description below so you'll know where I bought it. It will really help me if you buy from my links. That way I'll be able to create more videos like this. Dip the wire in edible glue and insert it inside the bud. Twist it and remove the excess gum paste to secure the bud properly. This is the most important part of the flower because it will be our skeleton. If it's not properly made, our rose may fall apart while we're doing it. Once you're done with all your buds, rest it overnight. On the next day, we can start creating our petals. By this time, you should have your petal patterns. This usually comes with three sizes. The smaller ones for the inner part of the rose, and then the bigger ones as we go along. So let us start with the smallest one first. Flatten a white gum paste, make it as thin as possible. And then put a little bit of corn flour to prevent it from sticking on your board and everything else. Place your pattern above it and then press gently. After that, use a cutter to separate each petal. Making a rose requires a lot of patience. It will really test you as you have to create each petal one by one. This is another item that we'll be needing. This is for the texture of our petals. Put your petal like this and put a little bit of corn flour to prevent it from sticking. And then press it as hard as you can, but also gentle. I don't know, just make sure you don't break the petals. We want the texture, but we don't want a broken petal. And then gently remove it from the silicone. And repeat the same process for all the petals. I'll be putting all the links in the description below where I bought all these items. When you're done, take your foam pad and use your ball tool to make the sides of the petal thinner. This way, our petals will look more realistic. Using a ball tool, go over the sides gently. We just want it to be a little wrinkly on the sides. Once your buds are stable, we can now start adding our petals. Put some edible glue all over it and then attach one petal like this. Try pulling it gently but be careful not to tear it apart. I'm just making sure that there is a hole in the middle. This is not important, but nonetheless it will make it more beautiful. This is the same video, but I want you to see it from another angle. Because this will be the same process that you'll use for each petal. For the second layer, we will add two petals. You have to place them completely opposite each other. And then wrap it around the bud like this. Add edible glue if they are not sticking properly. Once it's done, it should look something like just like earlier, we'll have to repeat the whole process from the start. But while our rose becomes bigger, we'll have to add more petals each layer. Making roses is all about patience and repetition. It might look easy, but once you start working on it, you'll realize it's not as easy as it looks. Now let us add three petals. Divide the area depending on how many petals you're going to put on that layer. Add a little bit of edible glue, but don't soak it. Wrap it around the flower bud, but make sure that the upper part is not completely sticking to each other. We want it to look like the flower is blooming. If you think our tutorial is helpful, please like and subscribe to our channel. Again, repeat the same process but use a bigger pattern. For bigger petals, I would advise you to dry them in a plastic spoon. This way our petal will look fuller. Now we will add the flower petal one by one. Cover the half part of the petal each time you add another petal. We want them as packed as possible. And then continue with the rest of the petals. When you reach the last petal, make sure that you will tuck it underneath the first petal. This will create an illusion that it is a continuous rose. Just continue adding more layers Now it all depends on how big you want your rose to be. I don't know about you, but this is looking so good to me. Since our rose is getting bigger, I would dry it like this. For me, this is already okay, but if you want a bigger one, I would suggest you to let it dry few hours or at least overnight. While we are letting our rose dry, we will now create the leaves under the flowers. Flatten a green gum paste and use this as your guide. Create as many as your roses. Using a ball tool and the foam pad, make the sides of the leaf thin as well. And then use a fondant tool to add textures. Do this for all the leaves. And then combine it with the rose. I have created this smaller rose while we are drying our bigger rose. Usually when I make a bouquet for a cake, I love to create different sizes. This way our bouquet looks more realistic. After that, all we have to do is combine it with the leaves. I have made a separate tutorial on how to create the leaves for these roses. You will find it on our YouTube channel. Cover the wire with floral tape. This way, it will look like a stem, and then you can use the same floral tape to combine it with the leaves. Now you can design it however you like. Once that is done, we can now work on our bigger rose again. Sometimes when the rose is so big, it's hard to keep the petals from falling. Now we can add the petals like this. That's why it's very important for the rose to be dry. When you are happy with the size of the rose, just keep it upside down and let it dry. It may take a few hours or a day, and then afterwards you can add your leaves to it. And that's how we create a rose. If you like our video tutorial for today, please like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you!